What?
4:59.
Y'all, I think we're live.
On top of that, too, we are live and we're on time.
Who'd have thought?
And on top of that, we're live, we are on time, and we're in person.
Why does it say chat is disabled for this live stream? What is going on here?
Wait, no.
Oh, I disabled it.
Why is chat disabled?
I'm
hear
tired
him.
of these people talking.
I gotta hear him.
I'm tired of the lates. I disabled it for the first few minutes. Joke's on you. It was on me.
We gotta figure this
iPad
out.
mode, new powers unlocked.
I think it's the Streamlabs messing up. It looks like it's live on YouTube. We're here, y'all. Hope you guys can chat. Hope it's working for you all. As you see, we're live streaming in person. Only done this a couple times. We're still getting used to it, figuring out the right setup and everything. But should be a good one today. As you guys see by the title, we are in the thick of NBA MVP season. The discourse is at an all-time high. It's finally gotten extremely toxic, as we know it to get around this time of the year. We're getting nonstop vitriol from both sides of what's become a two-horse race between Shea, Nikola Jokic. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not quite as crazy as when it was Joel Embiid on the other side, but it's close.
Because it went to proportions that, don't have to do with basketball with Joel and
Oh, don't get it messed up. The race relations are still part of it right now.
Really?
People are still making it racist.
That's crazy because I feel like I'm very, very tapped in on that side.
Yeah.
I have not seen a lot of that.
Yeah. Well,
You're not as tapped into this guy. Clear as day.
But yeah, we're going to talk about that today.
Wait. What kinds of tweets are you seeing? What side of the tweets are you seeing?
This year, it's more...
Because what is the algorithm showing you based on what you've liked?
So right now, it's the other way. Right now, so in the year you were talking about, it was the Kendrick Perkins stuff,
Yeah.
where we know where that
What did
went.
Perkins say? You're first in my mind.
I forget. All I know is that basically he was like, Embiid is not getting it because he's black.
Okay.
For lack of better words.
Interesting.
Yeah, and right now, Shea fans are like, nobody cares when Jokic has a bad game. He has white privilege.
Oh.
That's where the racial relations are going right now. But
Okay.
Lots to talk about there. We're going to talk about a few key injuries, a couple big reports, some miscellaneous stories. Lots and lots to get into. I think today, let's start with some Sacramento Kings talk, which is something I never, ever, ever say.
Ew, man,
We actively cut them out of the episode a couple weeks ago.
It was actually this most recent episode, not even a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
It was this week. But there's some interesting stuff to talk about that's barely even about them. Actually, I guess technically we're having some Spurs talk to start the episode.
It's NBA drama.
De'Aaron Fox, though, there's recently been some discourse around his trade request or lack thereof, how he went out from the team. Essentially, Kings fans fucking hate him now because they say that he put them in a terrible position by narrowing his market to one team, right? He said on that topic, there was no fucking list. I wanted to go to San Antonio. A lot of people are mad saying I handcuffed the team. Well, this is my career. It's not my job to help build your team. I'm not about to just go where they want me to go. How did y'all feel about this? Because obviously this pissed Kings fans off because they're like, you're under contract, do your job. And then other people were like, hey, player empowerment, motherfucker, deal with it.
Super sassy response. I like it. It's like he honestly sounds like someone who was like completely fed up with the situation that he's been given, seeing all the wrong moves happen, even when there's right moves happening, seeing them take steps a couple years ago when the light the beam stuff happened and all that. Like, I don't blame him. Firing the head coach abruptly like that as a star player, given no type of like green light or nothing like that too. I understand it.
Yeah, it makes sense. The Kings drafted De'Aaron Fox in 2017. They did not make the playoffs until like 2 years ago.
Damn.
Right? So you have one playoff appearance in his 7 or 8 year tenure. If De'Aaron would have played his entire career in Sacramento and they would have been on this pace that they're on right now.
He's one of the greatest losers of all time.
Exactly. Like what do they get? Like, do they probably get 2 playoff appearances, 3 play-in appearances, and then all of a sudden, like, there's supposed to be some valor in that. If De'Aaron Fox wants to go play with somebody else, he 100% can do that. And I'm glad, like, that he said there was no list. I wanted to go play with this guy, and they made it happen because fans don't even have to be mad with De'Aaron Fox. You can be mad at ownership because ultimately they're the ones who make the trade. They could have said, no, De'Aaron, we're not going to trade you.
Yeah.
They could have said, you know what? I know you want to go to San Antonio. we're gonna send you to Portland. Like, you know, like they can do all this other stuff. And
Portland, buddy.
like, it doesn't matter. Like, shout out to De'Aaron Fox for requesting the trade. Ultimately, the burden falls on the front office to do all this stuff. So you can't be mad at him.
Yeah. Shout out to KJ Blazin for tipping $3. Appreciate you, man. He said best part of the day. Shout out. Interesting part of this is this was surprising to me, this comment, because this all comes from the same news story by Mike Wright, where I think he sat down with De'Aaron Fox and got some pretty candid quotes. He went into pretty explicit detail about why he requested this trade too. And it comes down to the Mike Brown firing. He said, I was like, yo, I've been here for going on my 8th year. If Mike gets fired, I'll be on my 5th coach. And I told them, I'm not going to play for another coach. I'm going to play for another team. That's hilarious. He's like, if you fire them, I want to leave because I'm sick of new faces in here. I like Mike Brown. And part of this is he also, I don't have the quote pulled up. He said, or I don't know if he said or if it was reported but not explicitly stated to him, that there were some players on the team that had an issue with Mike Brown. It became a locker room issue. Kings fans are theorizing that Domantas Sabonis is the one who had a falling out as the other most influential player on the team. So interesting that it seems like we can trace this back to when the De'Aaron Fox trade first happened. He unfollowed Domantas Sabonis the next day, and Kings fans were like, "Why did you do that? What did he do?"
Yeah,
and he was like, "I don't want to see it." So apparently they are close, and we can now link that to they have differing of opinions on the Mike Brown situation. It's all making sense. And
exactly, this is what you have to say. You are a Kings fan, right? Or you're whichever side you're on. Just look at the other side and say, stay over there. stay over there. If you are rocking with the organization, with Domantas Sabonis, stay over there. If you were a fan of De'Aaron Fox and you're like, we did wrong by him, all right, you are rocking with him in San Antonio because De'Aaron Fox was the one, and this is how the Kings operate. And so you see them kind of switch up their plan every 2 to 3 years. And because of that, now you're in the situation where you've traded away Tyrese Halliburton to go get Sabonis and start this whole core. You bring in Mike Brown, give him an extension this offseason, only to fire him midway through the year, right? Knowing that there was probably a little bit of beef between De'Aaron and Domantas about what the coaching situation was like. So you keep putting yourself in these positions. I'm gonna need you to sit still. I'm gonna need you to think about some things before you start making moves. You know,
their future is so interesting because no De'Aaron Fox, obviously. You have Zach LaVine, who is very good. I don't want to see Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan play together long term.
Why? You've seen it already. What's the problem?
Exactly. That's the point.
You've seen it.
It's gone great every time. Famously an effective duo. Just a linchpin of NBA history. A duo you want to see together every year, I'm sure. But I hope that that's not a long-term plan. Shout out DeMar. Adding in Zach LaVine makes me want to have DeMar around a little bit less than I did before.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like what's to be gained by building around Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine long term? That's like it's a worse version of what you have with Fox and Sabonis, but just marginally. It's close to the same level, but
you know what it is.
Slightly worse.
You know what it is.
I don't. I wish I knew what it was.
MID.
42 wins a year. that is why you do that. And for the Kings, I can see a little bit of that mindset where you've been bad for like 20 years and you want to create some kind of culture, some kind of stability of like, I know we're not championship contenders, but we are at least a respectable team. We're at least a respectable organization. And so making, the play-in or making the top 6, all that does have some kind of value, especially if you don't want to tell your fans, hey, we're going to bottom out for the 5th time in 3 years, like some other teams do pretty consistently.
Yeah. There's definitely a fine line there when you're a small market team. The other interesting part is, I guess we all assumed that Domantas Sabonis is the ride or die. He'd never seemed the type to rock the boat or assert any type of player empowerment, pressure, or anything of that sort, right? The Athletic also reported that Domantas Sabonis is expected to seek clarity on the Kings' direction this summer. Don't know exactly what that means. All right, let me not say that. That verbiage makes you think I don't know exactly what that means. We all know what that means. He's going to be like, are we trying to compete or not? Is this going to be a rebuild or not? What's up? If not, I want to be out of here.
The Sacramento Kings are hilarious because it's like, bro, that's what I've been doing the entire time. What do you mean?
The quote says, league sources said Sabonis, who has 3 more seasons and a combined $143 million left on his current deal, is expected to see clarity about the organization's plan in the offseason. Just as Fox wanted to know whose voice mattered most on key decisions and who the team's owner might be trusting the most as counsel, Sabonis is known to have similar questions. I think I read a report that in this, it seems like the owner's daughter has a big say now in the team's direction, that she's kind of taken over a lot of decision making in lieu of the owner himself. Like he's kind of handed the keys over to her a little bit as like a little shadow owner. So I think Kings fans are assuming that's what he's talking about, is like, yo, is she in charge? Are you in charge? Is Monty McNair in charge? What's going on here? Because apparently there's a lot in flux. And that makes sense. This seems like a team that is not under one cohesive vision. To bring in DeMar DeRozan, we understood the talent play that, he's better than Harrison Barnes. I guess you're a better team now, right? But all of us scratched our fucking heads and said, that's the fit. That's the all-in piece you want to go for.
Yeah.
And then to get Zach LaVine after how he fit with DeMar DeRozan, like a lot of incohesive moves going on here. That makes sense if there's like a muddy of who's in charge.
In 2017, Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso are not walking through those doors.
Correct.
Right? Or 2029. It was 2021. Wow.
Yeah, it was actually way sooner than that.
But yeah, so they're not walking through those doors, and so again, you don't really know what's happening with the Kings. And for Sabonis, I'm gonna warn you. I'm gonna warn you, right? You guys remember that thread on Twitter like a couple years ago where the guy's like, you need to love the wife of your youth or something, where he's like, it's not like the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah.
For Sabonis, I feel like he kind of fits into that because I don't know what teams are shelling out their assets to bring in Sabonis. It's very hard for me to see
What assets would you be able to get for Sabonis?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know what the haul would be like, and I don't know what situation he would go into that would be ready made for him to slide in, because anywhere that you put Sabonis, at least offensively to maximize him, he has to have the ball in his hands a lot. It's very weird for me to think about Sabonis being like the third option in some like pseudo like big three type of thing. So you might go and request a trade, and the league might have an answer for you very quickly about like your value or where you want to go. And you can have a list. I don't know if everyone's going to respect that.
I think when it comes to Sabonis, something that he does bring and give teams is like a jolt of life and identity. Is he can't go to a team that has like serious aspirations to win a championship, or a team that, like,
What an
has
indictment.
things
What
in
an
place.
indictment on somebody as a player.
Everybody has a role in what they are, how they are valued in the NBA, and that's just what it is. And he so happens to be like the face of that. He got traded to Indiana from OKC, helped bring a jolt of life, was the best player or one of the two best players on that team alongside Miles Turner. Got traded to Sacramento, and he brought a jolt of life, and they created a whole new play style catered around him. And teams that I can think of right now off the top of the head that need a jolt of life, because similar to the Sacramento Kings back in those days, or the Indiana Pacers back when they had the Victor Oladipo era, like he needs a jolt of life alongside of a guard too, who just needs more stability. And immediately I think of
Atlanta Hawks.
I don't want to say it, but the Atlanta
I was thinking the
Hawks
same thing.
or fucking the Charlotte Hornets in some case.
Oh, hell no.
I think those two teams match up perfectly offensively with what he is able to provide.
I could see the Hornets if the Hornets only because if the Hornets were like, we have to be relevant, we have to be good.
Yeah.
And they also seem to be in a position of transition, and like you don't know what's about to happen. So maybe Charlotte. I don't like the fit in Charlotte. Also, the Atlanta pick is like, all right, that's super weird to have Trey and Sabonis. That's one where
That's so mid. That's so fucking mid as your two building blocks.
And that's
Trey, Jalen Johnson, Sabonis.
it's an
Chat,
interesting
where do you
lineup,
guys want to see
but-
DeMontis Sabonis traded if it comes to that? What would be a good fit for Sabonis in your guys' eyes, chat?
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
The better question is like, is there a good fit? Just plainly yes or no.
There's certainly a team he can play. Clippers, maybe? I don't know. I mean, they have
But I don't even know what they would like get for the Clippers. That's why it's so hard to envision a team like that.
Okay, so you want to pair Sabonis with a slashing guard like they have with Fox, because he's really good at running DHOs and he can set guys up on driving angles. So who's a team that has a slashing guard that needs a big to be a playmaking hub to set him up a little bit better, but also has good defenders that can kind of hide Sabonis' weaknesses as a rim protector?
I would say like, oh shit, maybe the Portland Trailblazers could use his services, but that doesn't make any sense because they already just drafted a center for the future, and I don't know if their guards there are necessarily just I don't know if they've made that development curve yet. So it's hard.
Fucking Magic.
Ew, bro. You want to add another
That's the
place?
worst.
Like, that's the worst place.
I don't. Okay, the Grizzlies? I don't know. Jaren Jackson's kind of a good fit to hide his weaknesses. They need a big.
The Grizzlies would be good, but I think you risk too much. You might risk too much on defense. You might risk too much. It depends on what they want back.
But it's fine. It's fine, honestly. If that's the move that you want to make, because the Grizzlies also, and we've talked about it before, like they find and develop guys so well that if you make some type of like consolidation trade to go and get Sabonis and bring him in that, it's okay. You know that you're going to go find 2 rotation players.
What about the Golden State Warriors?
Stop that.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst fit in the world. But
I mean, if
yeah,
you
it
want
wouldn't be
anyone
terrible
there
fit.
to like help cover Sabonis's deficiencies defensively, the guys right. Oh,
But you
think
can't- but
Draymond
you
would?
can't-
You think Sabonis would want to go there after Draymond stomped on his chest?
I mean, I don't think he'd be excited to play with the guy, but I think he'd probably deal with it.
Would that even work money wise to be able to have Steph and Jimmy and
I think you'd have
Sabonis
to
all
do
making
like a
that type of
trade,
money?
and sign and trade with Kuminga.
Yeah, you have to
probably.
extend Kuminga and trade him.
Yeah, so the Kings really have to believe in someone like Kuminga. That could work. I don't know if it'd be the best because he's another.
That
like,
would be
non-shooter,
awful.
but-
So in the chat, DQ Senpai said, "I like Sabonis on the Trailblazers." You like Sabonis on the Trailblazers because you've seen a Sabonis on the Trailblazers before, and it's a good story. Fit wise, I do not like Sabonis on the Trailblazers. I much rather them continue to build young and have Donovan Clingan as their center of the future with Tumani Kamara and Denny and have like 3 good defenders. Sabonis, putting him on that team is just like rebuilding what you have with the Kings, just having him be a just 41 winning commander.
yeah,
And I want better for the Trailblazers.
Welcome to
yeah,
Minnesota.
it's just the thing when it comes to that's what comes with the
People are
archetype.
spamming Minnesota right now.
Really, that's absolutely. I mean, I can understand it because Anthony Edwards, obviously, when it comes to all the aspects of his game, playmaking is not the strongest suit of his.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it makes sense.
Someone said the Raptors are a good fit.
No.
I guess him and Scotty aren't the worst fit in the world, but you need to have
You need
shooting.
to have, yeah. You need. I don't think their offense is as high octane. Someone like Anthony Edwards is like
We're
in
not
the
doing
same
that.
vein as a scorer as someone like De'Aaron
Man, he's
Fox,
hard to
obviously
fit
even
around.
better.
Jesus.
Yeah, he is.
Trying to tell y'all, it's
Yeah.
there's like you can ask for the trade, but ultimately, like he can't move the way that De'Aaron Fox was moving, where he's like, I have one team and I want to go there. It's like, all right, congratulations, buddy. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna work everywhere.
All right, man, let's move on. That's enough Kings talk. That's about 16 minutes of Kings talk. You guys, that's to make up for last episode.
That's all you got in you.
That's all I got in me. Today, we have to talk about the NBA MVP race. It is getting serious, like we said at the top of the episode. Vitriol is being thrown both ways, and it's perfectly timed because the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, just played back-to-back games in back-to-back days, which is absolutely insane way to schedule for the season.
NBA, what
I
is
hate that.
wrong with you?
But in the first game of the season,
Now let's do it.
and you know what's funny too? The
Let's do
first
it.
one is on ABC. It's the Sunday primetime game, and the next one is on NBA TV on a Monday. Like nobody cares about the second one.
Yeah.
Narratives are crafted with the first game, and in that first game, it was a close game for 3/4, but in the end, the Thunder won, and Shea had 40 points, and they won it by a margin that made it look decisive. They won by double digits, which was I think like their 40th double-digit win of the
40,
season.
I think
Something like that.
41st or 42nd. They
That's
lead the
insane.
league in that, and they're just like 10 games away from breaking that record. It's insane. Makes
crazy.
no sense.
So when this game ended and Shea had another 40-point game, he's been stacking them up. He averaged like 41 for the week and went 3-0.
Makes no sense.
People were talking, nail in the coffin. The MVP race is over. He got it. He solidified himself over Jokic, who's having the statistically better season, best player. But, you know, the team's better with Shea, and he's been rising to another level as a scorer. And then the second day comes around, and the Nuggets win that game. They win the rematch. Jokic has 35 points, 18 rebounds, 75% from the field. SGA has 25 and 7. Chet has his worst game of his career. He went like 1 for 10 to start. It was crazy. So they split the series, which now maybe that kind of softens the whole Shea ended the debate thing.
Well, you already said it. One of these games on NBA TV. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. If Mike Breen is not calling the game, it don't
Yeah.
matter. But it is very, very interesting. I still think that Shea has it locked up. I've also thought that Shea listen.
You think it's locked up?
It's okay. You can't say anything's locked up yet. Like it's
I do think that it's locked up. I think that for the people that for the people who have like years of voting or whatever, and there's the precedent, Shea fits that. Shea,
Okay.
Right? Like Shea fits best team, best player. They're one of the best teams by a landslide in the league. They're dominating everybody. If you want to talk about guys who are just going out there and getting buckets and having these amazing performances, Shay's doing that. I think that for a large amount of the people who are voting for Jokic or saying that he should be MVP, not to say that Jokic doesn't have a deserving case, but I think the people arguing for it are doing it out of bad faith.
Yeah. There's bad faith arguing on both sides. That's how it goes. No matter what, there's going to be bad faith arguing. Some people are going to call Shea a free throw merchant who is only a scorer, doesn't provide anything else, one-dimensional player. Some people are going to say Jokic can't defend anything, and he's a stat patter. There's bullshit on both sides. There always will be in these type of close debates. But it's really close. Like, right now, Jokic's MVP case is just as strong as it has been in any other year that he's won it. He's having his best statistical season. He's upped his level of efficiency and volume to a place that we've never seen it before. He's just as sharp as ever. The team is just as mid as ever. He's doing just as much of a carry job as we've ever seen, which is, part of why he's won MVPs in the past. And they're the second seed. And they're pacing to win similar games to last year when they got it, when they were tied for the first seed with OKC, right? So it's kind of a combination of all his previous cases. But I do kind of still agree that Shea's the MVP. Mm-hmm. And it feels weird because in general, over the last 5 years of NBA discourse, I fucking hate the best player, best team automatically deserves it idea. But Shea's been the second best player in the league this year. And while I don't think best team automatically gets you it like some people do, it's a factor. And they are so much better than everybody else.
It's the level of dominance that we're seeing by Shea and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that's like the extra level boost where I'm like, okay, when it comes to how you believe the voters are gonna vote based off of the precedent that they set years ago, yes, I think it's gonna lean that way. Like, I'm 60% sure he's gonna win MVP.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I don't think it's not even necessarily just because the team is so dominant, because we've seen that before. It's because he is carrying almost as hard offensively as Jokic is. And that sounds crazy because Jokic is the best scorer, best playmaker. The Nuggets suck ass without him. And people will have this idea that the Thunder would be good without Shea, which is just wrong. But his on-off isn't as dramatic as the Jokic one is because the Jokic bench units without him fall off a goddamn cliff. And that's because the Thunder have an amazing defense with or without Shea, right? But offensively, his swing is gigantic because I've said it all year, there's two people on this team that can dribble. One is Jalen Williams, who has had an inconsistent scoring season, and one is Shea. Their entire offense only works because of him and his ability to create and keep the offense moving. Their whole team construction is like the 0-1 Allen Iverson 76ers, where they say we're going to make a team full of defensive goons, and this go-to scorer is going to be the offense. It looks different than what Jokic is doing, but it's nearly as impressive of a carry job. So if you combine that with the team success that he's responsible for, I think it's fair to go towards Shea.
Yeah, and what makes it even more impressive of a carry job is the efficiency and the rate that he's consistently doing it at. Like, we've seen guys get their shit off. We've seen guys like Bradley Beal get their shit off and get like 31, 32 points per game and win the scoring title and whatnot. But with Shea, it's just different because it's efficient from all levels of the court, and specifically in the paint, mid-range too. It's generationally efficient.
Yeah,
things that we see people who are not twice his size, but 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", 7 footers do, and he's just 6'6", bro.
Yeah, and I fully understand the Jokic side too. That the best player is by definition more valuable to some people, right? It's the same argument from people who are saying Braun should have more. Now that's Jokic because he's the more talented player. So I get it. To Jokic fans, he's the basketball messiah, and you should always go towards the best player, and he will always be the best player. So every given year, they're going to want him to win, and will be disappointed if he doesn't. And I understand the line of thinking. The simple reality is best player doesn't always automatically guarantee the MVP in how people vote and how people choose to make the award go.
Yeah.
It's a collective factor award, not just you're the best individual player. It always has been, it always will be, even if we don't necessarily want it to be. That's always what it's going to be. So I understand your guys' perspective, but you're arguing from a basis that just isn't reality.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts when it comes to this conversation. And to me, I think, for example, if the Oklahoma City Thunder weren't as good as they are this year and they were closer to 50 wins instead of 58 or whatever they're at right now, then the conversation will be a lot tighter than what we see it as right now. because there's the team boost that OKC has. Once you deplete that, then there's an argument obviously still, but it's not as strong.
Someone
So
said
many
if
parts.
Jokic played for a better team, he'd be untouchable. Yeah, probably. If he was on a 70-win team or 67-win team, whatever it's going to finalize as. Yeah, you're right. He's not. And we can do this every year. If Giannis was on a 67-win team, he would also win the MVP. Only one of them is actually winning 67 games in reality. And again, the win-loss column is not everything, but it's something. It is something. And in this case, that win-loss column is directly correlated to one guy being the team. Like, people are like, OKC is a super team while Jokic is carrying no all-stars. I'm like, bro, they're a super team in your eyes in terms of net rating. People say that because of Shea. He is a super team. If he wasn't there and you want to say they'd be a good team still and they'd win games without him, okay. He obviously makes them go from decent team to the goddamn best team in the league. That is a big time carry job that is worthy of a most valuable player season.
And it's not even like anybody's looking at like the Cleveland Cavaliers on the other side of the league who are pacing very similarly to the Thunder and are like, oh yeah, D Mitch, that's the MVP of the league.
Yeah, no one's doing that.
Nobody's saying that because you obviously have to have the requisite performance to get there. And the best player, best team, yes, that has always been a part of the conversation. But we've seen it in years past where that's not the automatic. Like, everybody was making fun of Devin Booker a couple years ago when the Suns were amazing and people were trying to like shoehorn Devin Booker into conversations. Last year, when people were talking about Jason Tatum trying to be in MVP conversations, and we were up here saying like, nah, that's really not where he belongs. You see it time and time again that if you are watching these games and you know this guy is not moving the way an MVP is, he's not performing the way an MVP does, then regardless if the team is like at the top of the league, they're not going to do that. So like, does Shea have that tiebreaker? Yes. Do you think that like it shouldn't matter? Whatever, like that's personal preference.
So,
but like,
president set aside, you would still.
I would
pick
still pick Shea.
What about you?
I don't care about president. I just see. I was laughing because you said president, and I was thinking about it, and I repeated what you said. I don't care about the president at all. I do. I think it's too close to call right now. I need like all the days possible to think about it. I'll decide on the last day possible. If it ended today, I'd probably lean Shea, but I don't feel good about it at all. I feel like it's the closest race we've had as long as I've been like conscious of NBA award debates.
Okay, I guess.
Shout out to I Love Mo's Toes for tipping $69.
Oh wow.
Lovely. He said Thunder should trade for Trae Young with all that draft capital they have and anything else that would tickle the Hawks' brain in that direction.
That would bomb that entire.
That would bomb both teams.
OKC. It wouldn't bomb us. Shit, give us all the draft capital. I ain't tripping too hard. Plus,
Shout out to Bush did Harambe for tipping $5.
Wow.
Shout out to Mo, your shoes are untied for tipping $3. And shout out to LeBron623 for tipping $6.23. Appreciate all of you.
I didn't know we were toe watchers on this podcast, but okay. That's why I wear shoes now.
Someone said, it's silly to say that pro Jokic MVP arguments are made in bad faith. He's still leading the Basketball Reference MVP prediction. Don't give a shit about that. He's leading a second seed that without him would be the 10th seed. Yeah, no one said every Jokic case is in bad faith. It's that some people are taking it in bad faith. If that's not you, that's not you. No one is saying there's no case for Jokic. But you understand that there is bad faith arguments on both sides, especially by Jokic fans who are, as a Jokic fan, I can tell you, fanatical about him because he is European players have very, very intense fan bases because they represent entire countries. So they get diehard fans. And when you have that, plus he's the best player in the league, plus he doesn't get the attention in the media because he's overlooked because he's European, there develops a very, very crazed fan base that will ride or die for their guy. And deservedly so, I understand it. But that leads to some bad faith arguments. That doesn't invalidate every single argument. There are very, very good reasons to argue Jokic is MVP. But there are also some that are a bit eye-rolly, especially after he won it over Luka, in large part because his team was better.
No, 100% because his team was better. Luka averaged 34, 10, and 9 last year.
Yeah.
And we're like, listen, that's great and all. Right? That's awesome. But Jokic is doing some crazy stuff over here, and his team is winning.
Yeah.
It's the same thing this year. Like, I understand you're putting
It's a little bit different for Luka though, because like he didn't do it. He was doing it the entirety season, but his team was ass for like.
Yes.
And it's also different because the Nuggets are the 2 seed. So they're the 2, not like, what did they finish at? The 5 or 4?
5.
The Mavericks. So
5.
To the credit of Jokic fans, he's the 2 seed. So he's as close as you can get. And you could the best argument for Jokic is he's as close as you could possibly get in the circumstance of him having the worst team, right? So they're gonna have a worse record because the team is significantly worse around these two stars. And the fact that he's number 2, you can't get any closer to making up that gap talent-wise, seeding-wise.
And you know why?
Why?
Because the other candidate has played so well that his team is like 10 games clear of the 2 seed, right? He's contributed to the Thunder being 10, 12 games ahead of everybody. We were talking about 3 weeks ago or a month ago, whenever, like, yo, the Thunder are on a 70-win pace, right? Like, they have been dominant from start to finish. And so, yes, Shea has a lot of legs up over Jokic because he is also dominating. Isaac spent 20 minutes we talked for 20 minutes last week about how generational and how amazing Shea's scoring season is and how he's having one of the best scoring seasons a guard has ever had. And yes, I understand that Jokic is doing something the same and he just had that amazing 30, 20, and 20 game, which is ridiculous. But just because Jokic is making history doesn't mean that anything that Shea is doing is also not historic or not amazing.
Yeah,
and so
they're
he
both
has
MVP
that.
caliber individual productions.
And this is what you want from an MVP race.
Yeah. You know what this is, honestly? This is Jokic's fans' first time at the Braun Rodeo where we understand fully. Everybody knows he is the best player in the world. And you're going to hear that. People are going to look you in your face and say he's better than the other guy, but he's still not MVP.
Yeah.
And that's bewildering to somebody who's coming from a perspective of arguing in favor of Jokic every go-around, right? And this is obviously what Braun fans had to deal with for years. And, that's the reality. People aren't going to only go off of who's the best player. Like, there's other factors involved, and you're not going to like it ever.
Yeah. That's why me personally, I think I might be the odd man out. I might slightly lean towards Jokic if I had a personal vote. Now, I don't say that strongly. I don't say that proudly.
Do you think BR could get his votes? Could you imagine how hilarious it would be if BR could get his votes?
Dude, if BR could give us votes, I'll play both sides. I would not want people to know how I feel.
Imagine people look at the list of who has votes and they see us next to TNT. They got us a vote because they're Warner Bros. family.
How long me gonna see Trae Young? I'm gonna fuck someone over.
Then they go to our channel and they see us talking about bald-headed players and shit. Yeah. I've never asked Sam, but I feel like it's probably not impossible.
Oh man.
But yeah, so
I'll make some calls, man. I'm thinking about this.
So over the last year, this is like kind of a side question. What MVP outcome has bothered you guys the most? Ooh. What MVP did we get wrong?
Which one has bothered us the most? I wish you asked us on a day we're recording TikToks. This is a good TikTok topic.
Well, he has his.
I don't have mine. I don't know.
You do.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind, obviously, everyone hates is the Joel Embiid over Jokic one. That one, I mean.
Oh, no. For you, I was thinking 2017.
2017.
No, I mean, I'm not super passionate about that.
Stuff,
yeah. I'm not super passionate about that one. I don't really hate any of the outcomes. Probably Joel Embiid over Jokic, but I understand how we got there. So I don't think Joel Embiid's season was undeserving of MVP at all. I just think Jokic was a little bit more deserving. So I'll say that one. But even then, I completely understand why Joel won.
Okay.
For me,
let me look up all the winners.
It might be Joel's. I was very pro LeBron in 2018.
That one's such revisionist history. You said you were pro Yvonne, so I believe you in the moment. But like that was a topic of conversation later. So many people use the 2018 playoffs to like revisionist history,
100%,
to revisionist
100%.
history, his regular season MVP standings. Yeah. There was no way in fuck LeBron was winning MVP in 2018.
I still do think that like
I think
with that roster, getting that roster to 50 wins.
Yeah,
I think that, and obviously like LeBron just playing at kind of regular LeBron levels. I thought like 2018 could have went Bron's way, but then you go back and you look at 2018 James Harden and you're like, okay, like he's getting that.
Yeah. I think for me personally, if I was to answer my own question, I would probably lean towards, and this question, like this MVP race feels similar-ish to this one. Obviously, Shea's better, but it's D Rose versus LeBron back in 2011. The Bulls were first place. It wasn't as wide as a gap. I think the Bulls won 62 games. And
they won 66.
66?
Yeah.
No way. That's 66 is crazy. But if they did, regardless, they're number one.
That's why he's MVP.
Regardless, he's number one. And in the fashion that D Rose did it is not similar to Shea, but you get a lot of the same arguments. Team is built around you. You're allowed to cook. It's AI style basketball, and you have a bunch of long, lengthy defenders, Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, and all those guys of the world. Even like low-key similar build of a team as well as OKC this year. But at the end of the day, if you look at the other side of the argument, LeBron is LeBron. We all know how much better he was at the time than Derrick Rose.
But you're also like, you're not giving it. It's the same reason why Steph and KD would never were never thought about as MVP, because you look over and you look at the roster and it's like, okay, you guys are that good. The moment you say I'm going to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in 2011, you are out of the MVP for a couple years.
Yeah, and like, especially the first year of the super team, like he was never going to win.
Yeah.
That was a hard PR to go up against. Shout out to Wardell Glazer for tipping $25. He said, "My Warriors are looking good, Isaac. Y'all better pray you don't get the first round matchup."
Ooh, shit! He's coming after you with that one. God damn!
Why I don't play on the team. Shout out to I Have Avocado for tipping $12. Shout out to 1234 for tipping $5.
No. Show his question. Tell him what you got on your feet.
Oh, he said, Isaac, what are those? These are Nike slides. They are definitely like Yeezy knockoff, but they are like some like essentially Nike foam runners.
Are they comfortable?
They're comfortable as hell. That's why I got them on.
If I had them bitches on, it looked like it increased my vertical by 10 inches.
And shout out to 1234 for $5. He said, "So how do you feel about the most improved player race?" That's a good one. How do y'all feel about that? Because that one's up in the air. There's obviously Kate Cunningham.
What's the odds on that?
God,
I'll pull up the odds.
I seen the turn of this conversation. I think the last real most improved player that the NBA had was probably like Victor Oladipo. I may be tripping, but he's at least the most like notable one where it's just like, oh shit, like who the fuck saw this like coming out of nowhere?
Can I say something controversial?
Go ahead.
So you're getting at the fact that you think top picks shouldn't win it because they're expected to be stars?
Yeah, but evolution, time goes. Maybe I'm being an old man. It is what it is.
I fucking hate that argument with all my heart, and I feel like people are finding a reason to be crybabies about that. I understand it, so like I don't think it's stupid, but I'm so over it because, like you said, things change, and we have an understanding now that becoming a star player is the most important thing possible, and how hard it is to go from being good to being great. Like that's extremely difficult. Oftentimes more difficult to go from that than being irrelevant to being good.
Yeah,
and we understand that. Everyone acknowledges that, but they're still like, I want to see Christian Brown awarded. I'm like, why? We don't think that's more important of an improvement. We don't think that's a more difficult improvement. Why do we want that if not for just nostalgia?
Sizable. It's the most sizable improvement. You're telling me you want to give the number one overall pick. The fuck, you should be good.
Yeah. I'm not even saying
what is surprising about that? You want to give the number 2, number 3 overall. You're supposed to be that good.
I'm not
you
even
want an award? We give an award for everything these days for these top guys.
I'm not saying Kate Cunningham specifically, but like John Morant is one people go to a lot. John Morant deserved most improved player. He went from being a good rookie who was living up to the hype to being goddamn dominant, and there was a 2 seed in the second year. Like that was a big leap, and not
also a weak class too.
Exactly, there was not a lot of competition. I'm not gonna out here and put my cape on for Christian Brown deserving it. Like it's some huge, gigantic improvement. Like it was some seismic shift in the world. Like I respect it, and like he can be on the ballot. I'm not gonna like shed tears over the fact that players get rewarded for becoming stars. I think it's totally understandable.
If it's understandable, I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like it because it's not for you.
Yeah.
Like
win MVP. That's the real award that I want to see you win.
In the actual spirit of the award, like
that's what I mean. The spirit of the award. What does that mean?
This is not for you.
The spirit changed. People change. People have a different understanding now.
This is not for you, and that's what we call loser recipes.
Exactly, you're loser.
I don't think that's a recipe that needs to be held on to.
This shouldn't be for Kate Cunningham. This shouldn't be for a guy that from the moment that he got into the league, the ball has been in his hands the entire time, right? Like he's had every single opportunity to, and obviously his situation has been very, very dire, right? But in theory, he's had all the opportunity in the world to showcase his talents, whatever. There are some other guys who may not have had the opportunity or may have stepped into a new situation, and now they are fully, starting to blossom. I would much rather give this award to like Norm Powell than to Kate Cunningham.
So is this award most opportunity gained or most improved?
That's a little bit. So that's the thing too. It's not only like the most opportunity. Obviously, if it was the most opportunity, fucking guys like Julius Randle or some shit like that would have won it a minute ago. It's like actually genuinely most improved as well. Like the Victor Oladipos of the world, guys like that.
He was a perfect winner. Like, so that makes sense.
He is like the poster boy for that. You have to actually get better.
Yeah, and you could argue, again, I'm not going to use this argument, but you could say that Cade having the same role and then just being way more effective, he actually improved. It's not just he got more touches. Getting touches doesn't necessarily mean you're better. You just have more opportunity. That's not what most improved means, And I'm not saying that's a bad argument every time. Like, that's a very worthwhile. If Cade didn't make the star leap this year, I think it'd be totally fine if Dyson Daniels or Christian Brown won or whatever. But we spend so much time talking about the fact that Cade Cunningham's season is so impressive. That in itself tells you that we didn't necessarily see it coming. Nobody was saying before this season he was going to be a top 15 player in the world this year, be a top 5 point guard. Like, just because he was drafted highly doesn't mean it's necessarily expected. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so celebrated. This is clearly a big deal, and he got meaningfully better.
But you were drafted number 1 overall. And so
I think the expectation of it just like eliminates you from those like.
But you don't see that so arbitrary. Like, we don't do anything else. Like, if you improved, you improved. It's not necessarily like disqualifying somebody for that type of reason.
No, but it's the same way how with the MVP award, we know that the best player in the world is the most valuable. But that's not really what this is.
Yeah.
Like, we need to start passing it around. Like
fire.
That would be very, very cool. But so there is the idea of, okay, this is what we are doing with this award, which is with MVP kind of how we treat it. The same thing with most improved. We've known kind of the archetype of player that we are giving this award to. And if you want to go and relitigate it based on like the strict definition of most improved, then, and that's why I kind of feel like it's happening now. Okay, fine. But we also do this with every single award where you say most improved or you have whatever superlative, and over the course of decades or whatever, we kind of as a consensus come to a meeting. Nobody to this day has a finite criteria for like coach of the year.
Yeah.
Right. But we know,
It's all fluid.
we thought you were going to be trash. Your team isn't as trash and you don't really have a star player. So we're just going to say coaching. Most improved is kind of the same thing. Most valuable is the same thing. 6th man of the year. Who is scoring the most points coming off the bench? Like, that's kind of what it is.
Things change over time, and I have no issue with the meaning of most improved shifting towards the definition of improvement and what we think is the hardest improvement, the most important improvement, the most valuable improvement. Like, I'm not necessarily upset that it's shifting that way. Again, I understand that it is a shift and it's not what it once was, and that it's more rewarding of star talent, because I think everybody's under the understanding.
Somebody has to think about the working NBA player. Somebody has to think about the middle class.
You got to share the love. It's like, how do you want to, like, if you want to angle your league and like focus on all the stars only, then sure, go for it, bro. But like, it's a well-rounded league, We got
6th man of the year. We're giving them an award. It's literally 4 bench players only.
6th man of the year.
Only for bench players. They have an award.
6th man of the year.
Some people start and get better.
What?
Some people aren't the 6th man. They don't come off the bench, but they are.
You know who starts and got better this year by a lot? Cade fucking Cunningham.
And good for him. He's an all-star. Like, you got.
And he wasn't last year. That's a big ass improvement.
You got your recognition. Somebody has to stand up for the Christian Browns of the world.
Yeah.
Somebody has to stand up for all of these Mitch you got, for the Dyson Daniels of the world.
Do you know how embarrassing it is for the award winners to be like, John Morant, you are the most improved player of the year award? And he's like, bro, I don't even want that shit. Give that shit to Desmond Bain, bro. Yeah. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, again, I'm not mad at the change. I wouldn't be upset with either if it was how it was before, but I think people do so much like moral like soapboxing about it, like it's like bad for the game, and I'm like, I feel like it's just an understandable change. That like, it's fine. Like,
it's normal. Yeah, I can understand it for sure. If you want to angle the game and like give it to players who are clearly making that like superstar type leap, fuck, Shea could have got it a couple years ago, bro, because none of us saw this type of leap coming, And now that it's here, it's clearly shocking. If that's how you want to angle it, I understand it. But me personally, there's just some things that just need to be the same.
It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good.
And I get it. I don't really care about this award at all. So I'm not.
You're the number 1 overall pick. You better have improved.
Yeah, again, I don't even give a shit who wins. I'm not like, Cade better win by any means. I just think it's fine if he does, and I don't think it's like a travesty if that's the direction the award goes.
Me personally, I think if we're sticking to our personal definitions of this award, I would lean towards someone like Dyson Daniels, I believe.
Surprise, surprise.
Great Barrier Thief. It is what it is.
He's such
He's a
a
fucking
monster.
monster on both sides of the floor now, brother. It's happening.
That's a good pick. I kind of like that pick more. What about
If
Tyler Hero?
not-
Tyler Hero became an all-star when we were talking about him as like a role player who'll never
I'm
be a
cool
star.
with that too.
Yeah, he.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I like Tyler Hero pick. I think Tyler Hero. You know what it is? I think becoming an all-star is like that's kind of become the barrier for entry for
That
this
is-
award.
that's the number one
and I think that's kind of
thing.
okay, unless there's a year where there's no all-stars that are gained. Then like obviously give it to a Christian Brown type.
Yeah.
I'd be okay if the award came down to who became an all-star this year.
Yeah.
And there's Tyler Hero, there's Evan Mobley, there's Jalen Williams, and there's Cade, and you pick Tyler Hero because he was the worst last year.
And you know what? And I'll do that. Top 3 picks excluded, and we can keep it moving.
What about J-Dub? Would you pick J-Dub?
Is he a top 3 pick?
Nope.
All right. Yeah. So you're in there.
No.
You know,
That's,
you're
see,
in.
that's fair. I'm okay with people saying you need to become an all-star.
Yeah.
And I'm also okay with you saying
That's
top 2
fair.
picks can't be that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to necessarily spend time arguing that Christian Brown or Dyson Daniels are robbed. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Over the last few years,
What about Norm Powell?
Well, he didn't play enough games anymore, so we can't even go.
Yeah,
we can't even
but
grandstand
I
on that.
And it's just like that when it comes to Norm Powell. I'm
but
like,
in
it's
the-
probably more opportunity. I don't know if you actually you got better at bucket getting, but it hasn't been as clear to the common eye to me. But going back to what I was going to say when it comes to your point about clear indicators of who will win this award, it all dates back to who's making their first All-Star team. 2024, Tyrese Maxey. 2023, Larry Markkinen. John Morant happened. Julius Randle happened. Ingram, Siakam. That is the status
Randall made
of
an
it.
All NBA team.
Yeah.
that year,
It was
which
crazy.
was crazy.
And see, another thing is too, like among those
Gotta get
players,
bagged.
I think Larry Markkinen is like
Nah, that was contract year too.
Yeah,
also,
you gotta get a
also if you are
bag.
in your contract year,
Greatest season
you
of all time.
cannot win most improved because it's fake stats.
Josh Giddey. You're not getting a vote.
I can't do it. You can't be a top 3 pick. You can't be in your contract year.
Yeah, that's fair. In a perfect world, a Larry Markkinen type would win it every year. A guy who goes from role player to all-star, your best player on your team. If there's not a perfect candidate in any given year, I'm not going to necessarily be upset if Cade wins. I wish there was a perfect candidate. Like, I wish Dyson Daniels was an all-star. I would love to
Yeah.
vote for Dyson Daniels in that case. But if you don't have a clear-cut
But
guy...
why do you need the validation of all-star voting?
let's talk about
Because
it.
it's the most clear leap that the common NBA landscape like pays attention to the most.
Yeah, it's very like
Yeah.
tangible, where people can point to and like you made the leap to an all-star. That it's very easy to track in that way. But again, some years it might not be a new all-star, and you get a whoever else has won it without being an all-star.
Yeah, things change every year. I understand that.
Okay, either way, it seems like Kate Cunningham is going to win. Now that we had the conversation, I think I'd rather vote Tyler Hero,
Yeah.
but I will not lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
Next story we have to talk
Not
about.
1 minute.
LeBron James is injured, by the way. I don't know if y'all heard.
Oh, not my king. No. What's
know.
wrong with him now?
His groin hurts.
Oh,
In the game against the Celtics, in which the Lakers got absolutely clamped up, he got hurt in the last 5 minutes of the game. He is going to
Yeah,
miss
they
1 to
got
2
locked
weeks.
up.
he's a Knicks fan.
They got locked
He is,
up.
and he
Why
better
are
not
you
be
talking
talking.
about
His
this?
trash
You see what
ass
happened
game.
to
We'll
you
talk
a couple
about that
days
game later. We'll talk about that
Shit
later.
ass organization. But LeBron James is expected to miss probably going to be closer to 2 weeks than it is to 1. Even though the timeline is 1 to 2. They're obviously going to be conservative because they have to get him ready for the playoffs. But in the meantime, they are playing with no LeBron James, no Rui Hachimura, no Jackson Hayes, no Dorian Finney-Smith, and Luka Doncic is playing like he weighs 300 pounds still. It's not a good time to have to get wins and keep that second seed. It's going to be rough going for the Lakers. I just hope that he's healthy by the playoffs and that in this time in which Luka Doncic has to do everything, this man can get all the reps he needs to
Yes.
finally learn how to score at the rim again. Because my God, is his inside the arc scoring horrible. It's truly atrocious. I've been ignoring it because they're winning games because him and LeBron are clicking so well with Luka's playmaking. We haven't seen good Luka scoring inside the arc since early last season. We have like 11 months of sample size now. I'll leave it there. We'll probably talk about it in a future episode, but it's not super promising.
I do have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Were we too hard on Nico Harrison?
No, we weren't. We weren't. Now listen.
Because it's not looking good over the last 4 days.
Were we too hard on Nico Harrison? No. He's dumb as rocks regardless. But were we... So we might have...
Well, question to that. If Luka's body does eventually break down, then would we have to go back and be like, yeah, we were too hard on
No,
Nico
because no
Harrison?
matter what, it's dumb as fuck to not shop Luka around. You could have got
Yeah.
more assets than what they got. No matter what, it's stupid practice. But we have put too much. We've cut him too much slack in that, like, oh, he'll get his feet under him, he'll get better, the scoring will be fine. People are not realizing that since March of last year, he hasn't been getting to the rim. Like, it is a long sample size now of his scoring not being great, and there has been too much. It'll be all right. Like, it's a real problem that I think needs a full summer of like being in the lab. Like, I don't expect him to be back to pre-2023 levels of scoring until next year.
That's when you know. That's when you know that it's starting to get bad. It's when you go on Twitter and people play old highlight clips and they're like, they say, whatever happened to him? You're starting to see that with Luka.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
You're talking about all those goddamn clips back when he was with the Mavs and he was just booming shit all day long.
So, like, it is a real thing that he is not getting to the rim. His burst looks a little bit worse. And he's compensated for it, like we saw late last year when he averaged fucking 34. With this still being the case, he was looking a little hobbled end of last year. His shot making is just outrageous. So that will get more comfortable. And we've seen stretches when he has big games with the Lakers where that shot making is just like killing teams. He has the shot making to like kill you attacking bigs and switches. It's at the point now where sometimes it feels like the defense is like getting one up on him because they're like goading him into taking tough mid-range jumpers because he can't blow by anybody. And that's where the problems lie. And that's where they're going to lie in the playoffs if he looks like this.
Yeah, I don't care what the situation is. If you have Luka right now, you can't be losing games to the Nets. You can't be doing this.
He shot horribly, so you're right. They should have won that game.
But this is one of those moments where it's like, okay, it's starting to look a little scary. Where
they missed 5. They had like 5 rotation players gone though. So I know what you're saying, but the Nets win games. If you haven't noticed, we don't want them to, but the Nets fucking win games. So like, they didn't lose to the Wizards. The Nets like.
They're a respectable team.
They refuse to lose on purpose, and it's pissing everybody off. But they're confident.
You still can't lose. Well, first off, it wasn't just Luka in that game that was bad. Austin Reeves was also not great. So I'm not gonna put that all on Luka. But this is like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't look good to where the first game without LeBron and you guys come in and you lay an egg and you get the loss, and now like the Lakers, their upcoming stretch is about to be crazy.
Oh, they're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, Lucas should win. Look who's playing with. His centers are Alex Len,
Yeah, I saw that.
Jameson, and Jared Vanderbilt. That is a combined 0 players who can score inside. You have 0 lob threats, 0 roll threats. Nobody can make a layup. Shout out Jameson. He tries real hard, has negative touch. Alex Len is horrible.
He be trying.
He tries really hard, and shout out him. He's been cool defensively. He's earning a role for himself. The worst scoring big I've ever seen. The only ones who rival him are Jared Vanderbilt and Alex Len. Also some of the worst scoring bigs I've ever seen.
Man.
So it's a real tough opportunity to be asked of him to like do well with those
What's
bigs.
their schedule coming up? Because they have
2 back-to-backs.
Because they have Milwaukee and Denver.
They play 4 games in 5 days. And guess what? They play back-to-back Denver, Milwaukee, have 1 day off. Denver and Milwaukee. They play the same teams in 2 back-to-backs.
Shout out to the NBA,
4
bro.
games in 5 days. It's ludicrous.
No Braun.
And maybe no Rui, maybe no DFS, maybe no Jackson Hayes. That's the most important thing. If those guys are healthy, or if 2 of those 4 guys are healthy, they win this game, and Luka doesn't have to fight for his life quite as much. It's a whole lot to ask Luka, who's not scoring well right now, and you have literally no help. You have Dalton Connect and Austin Reeves playing small forward. And Luka was playing power forward last night in the starting lineup, by the way. It's tough.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for y'all over there in La La Land or whatever, bro.
Yeah, it'll be fine. The LeBron comes back in 2 weeks. That'll be all right. But the 2 seeds out of the question. They're not getting the 2 seed.
Yeah, I just hope that LeBron can play enough games to get to like All-NBA and he gets like the 65 games.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I think he's going to, unless he misses like the whole rest of the regular season.
It depends on when he's gonna come back. But if it really is just like 1 to 2 weeks, then he should be fine. But I mean, it's been a very
He's played 58 games so far.
okay. So he needs 7 more games. The game on Saturday against Boston was very, very fun. As somebody who's rooting against the Lakers, but also in that one, you clearly saw like, Jackson Hayes is a really, really big deal for this team.
He's a gigantic deal, and not
massive.
one. He's good. Like sadly, like he's been a good player for them. Like,
hey, we don't root against players, but we might have been rooting against that player.
I root against players who can't get their hands to themselves, and there's some allegations in the air. So it's looking like he might get rooted against in the coming years. But he's been good for them and straight up been a very good defender and a good enough role man. He's not particularly good offensively. He doesn't have like touch or like the size to finish around people, but defensively he's really important. And even offensively, just by the nature of him being the only big who can kind of roll, he's everything. Because like we mentioned with Jameson and Vanderbilt, they have no other guys who are a threat to hit a layup.
Yeah, exactly. Something interesting about his game too that just like makes him so much more useful is his ability to swing the ball as a connector here and there once in a while. So valuable to other shooters out there in the corner. So fucking valuable, bro. So yeah, you're in the trenches, you're in the mud, but Jackson Hayes is doing his thing.
Anch in the chat said, bro, Porzingis was out. Stop talking about Hayes being out. Here's the thing. A healthy Porzingis is a concept. It is a figment of your imagination.
He don't even know what he got right now.
Yeah, he is. Shout out him. I hope he gets well soon. He has an unrecognizable virus, which is a terrible situation. Shout out to him. It is routine that he is unavailable, so you can't really play that card.
He's like unavailable in the most tragic ways too, because it's like him nor the doctors that he pays millions of dollars to doesn't know what the fuck is wrong with him, bro.
Yeah, that sucks. And like the crazy foot injury, like this is the Kristaps Porzingis experience. Now, also Drew Holiday wasn't out. He's normally available, so I understand that. Like it's not to say the other team was whole, but you know they're the better team. They're used to playing without those guys. The Lakers don't have depth. It means a whole lot more to the Lakers to lose your starting center than it does to the Celtics. Like it's. The Lakers rely on their starting center, and the Celtics are just fine with Al Horford playing.
They tried to go at Al Horford, and I'm not gonna lie. For the first part of that game, I was like, "Hey, I was looking old."
Did you see the way Austin Reeves was hunting his ass down?
There were a couple plays where I was like backpedaling, and he kind of like lost his footing. I was like, "Oh, that's some old man stuff right there." he looked like he was, like he had played in the league.
It almost
for
feels like
20
he's
years.
like a great player to guard someone like Luka, Luka's quick, obviously, but he's not explosive. And
He used to be.
Al Horford doesn't have an ounce of explosiveness, but he's hella smart and witty. You know what I'm saying? So he can read his feet and read all the fake hezzies and all that Luka's gonna hit him with. He's a great player, bro.
Yeah. Either way,
So
we'll see where the Lakers go in the stretch. It's going to be rough. It's looking more like the 3 or 4 seed is in the cards. The 2 seed is probably not attainable unless they just miraculously hold their own without LeBron James. But I'm not expecting that personally.
What would go through your mind if you went to the doctor, you were sick for like a week, and they said, "Oh my God, brother, you have an unrecognizable virus"?
I'd be fucking horrified.
What would go through your mind, legitimately?
It would be tragic.
Recognize it, please. Like try harder.
What do you want me to say? It's like if they don't know what's wrong with me,
RSVP my funeral. Like
yes, and so like I obviously we are hoping that does not happen for Kristaps.
for sure. Just the idea, just like unrecognizable, bro.
Yeah,
Alright,
I think it's bad for everybody.
Yeah.
So we have another injury news to talk about. Similar magnitude.
That was crazy.
The Jalen Brunson injury. He's also going to miss several weeks. It might be as soon as 2 weeks with an ankle injury, which is a good outcome. Because as soon as this happened, I texted in the chat and I told Donovan, get ready to miss 6 weeks to Jalen Brunson. Because that shit looked like a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
And it looked bad. But apparently it's not too bad. What are your hopes for this team over the next couple weeks?
Hey man, just keep winning. You know?
Okay.
It's creep grounded, bro. That's all it is.
Listen, we have a new assistant coach. His name is PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker came in immediately, cursing out everybody, telling everybody if you get an open look, shoot the ball. He's bringing vibes. He's bringing that dog into our team, and you're just trying to get through it because right now, like Cleveland's going to be the 1 seed, and I'll pull up the standings right now. But Cleveland is going to be the 1 seed. Boston is going to be the 2 seed. What you want to do is you want to be able to hold on to the 3 seed, and it's okay. Right now, the Knicks are 4.5 games up on the Bucks, and they are 4.5 games up on the Bucks, 5.5 games up on the Pacers. I don't think that they're going to go into some wild tailspin over the next 1 to 2 weeks. And this is also a very good time to, we talked about it a little bit last week when we were talking about the Knicks, get everybody else involved. A lot of times with the Knicks, especially when you get into late game situations like this, it is very much Jalen Brunson time. And I'm okay with that because Jalen Brunson time is a very good time. He scores.
It's a lovely time.
He scores a lot. He's an amazing clutch player as well. But you're going to have to get Mikal Bridges going. OG Anunoby has been playing really well. I want that to continue. Last year in the first round against Philly, Josh Hart was shooting out. He was shooting the lights
Shooting the
out.
skin off that ball.
I need Josh Hart to get back to that, and then obviously you want Cat to feel good about himself going in. So, and something that I saw Jamal Crawford. I didn't watch the game directly last night, but I saw Jamal Crawford talking about it. Was that the Knicks looked very, very connected without Jalen Brunson, and he's like, if you don't have your top player, this is how you like. This is the blueprint to win games. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of times in Tibbs' offense, it can get very bogged down. If you can come out of this situation where the ball starts moving a little bit more, and then you insert Jalen Brunson into it, and now your offense is back to number one offense in the league, that would be best case scenario.
Yeah. So they don't have a terribly difficult stretch coming up, which is nice. They obviously just beat the Kings yesterday, hung 133 points on the Kings' shit-ass defense. They play the Trailblazers tomorrow, then the Warriors, probably go 1-1 there. Then the Heat, the Spurs, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Mavericks. That's like 5 straight very great. Winnable games, even without Brunson.
This is our time to go ahead and prove that we are the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, because we've already shown. This game right here against the Lakers, and especially after Jalen got hurt, it killed me. It killed me because I just needed one win against one of like the top against one of the top opponents in either conference, and it didn't happen.
You know what my favorite thing is that Knicks fans are coping with? Obviously, people keep tweeting that they're 0-9 against the top 2 seeds in both conferences, and that includes the Lakers being the 2 seed. Knicks fans are like, this is such a bullshit stat. If you put the Nuggets at 2, we beat them twice. And I'm like, okay. Congrats, you're 2-9 against the top 4 teams. Do you feel better about yourself? Like, it's still not great. It's
a little bit better. just a little better.
It's a fraudulent stat. Okay, it's still bad. It's just slightly less bad. It's still fucking ass.
No, it is really damning, especially because in a lot of those games, the Knicks have had opportunities to win.
Yeah.
Like obviously in this game, like it goes in overtime. We've had games against the Cavs that have been really close. We've had moments where we were I think in the first Oklahoma City game, we were up in the fourth quarter with the big lead. We squandered that. So it's not that they can't fully compete. The only team that they 100% cannot compete with is the Boston Celtics. They step onto that court and they basically spot the Celtics 12 points, and then you go from there. Everybody else, the Knicks can play with. They just have not been able to find the ways to win those games. And so, is it a bad stat? Absolutely. Is it maybe slightly overblown? Maybe by like 0.5%. But it's something that you do have to watch for. But if Jalen doesn't miss too much time, it should be okay.
We're talking a lot about shit that doesn't matter. Let's talk about some real hard-hitting news that affects the media landscape. Jason Tatum doesn't like the nickname The Anomaly.
Nobody likes that.
He
that's what I'm
said
saying.
his friends call him Taco, which he prefers.
Yo, Taco.
And he likes Big Deuce, which nobody's ever going to fucking say.
Big Deuce. Sounds a little bit nasty.
If he has a bad game, they're gonna call him Big Deuce, and you kind of know where that's gonna go. I'm actually surprised that he said Taco, because the last thing that I would think that he would want is for people who don't know him to start addressing him like the people who do know him.
Yeah.
I was like, would have never given you guys that information.
Yeah. Do you think that's what Cade meant with the Mellow Yellow thing that he hated? Do you think he was like, don't put that out there? Remember, did you see that clip?
Of Mellow Yellow?
Yeah. There was a clip where they were doing a post-game conference where after a win, Cade was talking to a reporter and Tim Hardaway Jr. walked up and called him Mellow Yellow. And then the person was like, is that your nickname? He's like, no, we're not going to do that. I wish you didn't even say that. Like he hates that nickname or something. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone was like, why does he hate that so much?
Come on. Come on. I'm not going to explain this to y'all right now.
Wow. It didn't just hit me until now. Wow.
It just hit me as well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's even funnier now I'm thinking about it, because he was like, I wish you didn't even say that on TV. Yeah. Of course, all of Twitter ran with it immediately and kept calling him that.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
Y'all are not going to call this man Yellow.
That is crazy.
It's wild.
Oh, my God.
I hadn't thought about it, so now that is crazy.
It just sat in me. I'm just like, Yellow. Holy shit.
And it makes total sense why Tim Hardaway would call him that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
So yeah, Tatum hates the anomaly, and I feel like I don't know. We gotta like.
Well, it doesn't matter.
We gotta put the flag at half mast.
We're too far into the nickname game now. Everybody has a nickname like that, and it's because of him. He really could have embraced something. He could have embraced the movement. And he just didn't. He didn't want to be the face. And so now history won't remember him in that way. And that's a shame.
It's the only way history would have remembered you, Tatum. It's tough.
I think they'll remember the finals rings, but
You think so?
they might remember the anomaly more.
At this point in time, ringa.
Okay, fair enough.
When I put more rings on them.
Someone said Jason Tatum is the Kelsey Plum of the NBA.
The fuck does that even mean?
All right, we're not doing it.
People, he's calling him corny.
lame.
Corny.
Okay,
Yeah, he's
gotcha.
corny.
I just think of that that video where she's like,
That's what they're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's
That's what they're talking about exactly.
okay, gotcha.
I don't know. Is Kelsey Plum as good as Jason Tatum?
She's good.
Tatum's better.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how good. How like what, is she like a top 5 player in the WNBA?
Top 5. I don't think top 5.
Has she fallen off? Was she at one point, but now she's not, or has she never been?
Yeah, I think it's closer to that.
I don't know. My WNBA ball knowledge is limited.
Yeah.
With that being said, that's the end of the stream.
No.
Okay.
Now's the end of the stream.
Oh, shout out to Kevin Gillicky for coming in last second as the stream ends, tipping $10. He said, even if Tatum for some reason isn't the top tier for you guys, he's absolutely either the best or second best player to build around. Better to build around than Giannis, Shea, or Luka. All right, man. Topic for another day. Either way, appreciate all y'all coming out. We'll see y'all later this week for this week's episode. Should be a fun one.